Happy Monday, one and all. Welcome to the latest edition of the LPTV Disney Morning Show, in which Kyle Burbank and Mosley, mispronounced my own last name.
You were thinking about the museum.
I like that you actually read these articles I post. That
I have to edit them, believe it or not.
Are they that bad?
Job. No, the only things I do is I might add a couple of commas or move a couple of commas and add a .m to the A's and P's.
Yeah, I don't like that. I just like going AM, PM. Sometimes I just like to put the A and leave it at that. So I'm glad we have a consistency editor like yourself. Anyway, I'm Doobie Moosley. That's Kyle Burbank, and we are going to talk to you about what's going on in the world of Disney over a relatively quiet weekend, and we'll see what's coming up this week. Let's get started like we do every morning. Not with that. With that. So every morning at this time, Kyle Burbank makes an effort to guess the Disney stock price within 50 cents at the moment he is making that guess. So Kyle.
Every morning starting today. Okay.
What is the Disney stock price today?
Well, if I'm guessing within 50 cents, I guess 88.5.
88.5. Let's check it out. Oh my goodness. I forgot to share the screen. Look at Kyle Burbank.
First time, only beginner's luck.
All right, so I'm gonna start keeping a tally here of Kyle's stock guesses. You've got it right, 1, wrong, 0. Way to go, Kyle! You are batting 1,000. Congratulations. And then the next thing we do is hear from our AI friend.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend, but now it's time for another week of the Disney Weather Report. I hear the ticking of the clock. I'm lying here, the room's pitch dark. I wonder where you are tonight. No answer on the telephone. And the night goes by so very slow. Oh, I hope that it won't end though. Alone. Till now I always got by on my own. I never really cared until I met you. And now it chills me to the bone. How do I get you alone? Let's get to the weather. Anaheim will be sunny today with a high of 84. However, during the afternoon, there's a yellow flag on the Golden Zephyr Wind Index, so plan accordingly. Stop me if you've heard this one. Walt Disney World will see a high of 93 that could feel like 106. But storms are likely in the early afternoon. Those storms will cool things off a bit, dropping the heat index into the 90s. Castaway Cay will see a similar pattern, with a high of 91 and scattered storms possible, although theirs will arrive a bit later, expected to begin around 8 p.m. Disneyland Paris is partly cloudy tonight with temps in the 80s. While a few showers are possible, it should be fairly nice and in the lower 70s as the night concludes. Tokyo is also looking at rain tomorrow, with storms starting in the overnight hours and continuing into the afternoon. During the dry time, it will be 87 but feel more like 99. Unfortunately, storms are likely to resume later in the night, so have an umbrella handy. Shanghai will be partly cloudy tomorrow with a heat index of 102. Finally, scattered storms will start in Hong Kong early tomorrow morning and stick around through lunch. After that, it will be partly cloudy and 88 degrees. That will do it for today's LP weather update. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Hi, Ethan. What was that song?
It's Heart.
They have more than one song,
Heart?
don't they?
Alone?
Oh.
Tonight the tower got found on my
Oh,
own.
I'm
I
ashamed.
never really cared until I met you.
You know what I just learned? You know how we have that little eye thing in the upper left that shows us how many viewers we have?
Mm-hmm.
That no longer includes Twitter, which is not a shock given
It includes
Twitter's
X.
API issues. But yeah, it just has, so now, because over here where I have TweetDeck running, I can see we have viewers on Twitter, and then that doesn't seem to add up, and now I know why. So all you Twitter viewers out there that aren't in our account, hey, thanks for joining us. All right, let's get started with Not So Scary. So the first Mickey's Not So Scary party was held on Friday. Too soon, Kyle?
Yeah.
Too soon. I think the whole world agreed it was too soon, especially given the
And
weather
yet
out there
it
in
was,
Florida.
was it sold out?
It was sold out, yeah. And yet it was sold out. So the whole world minus the people that were there. So Jeremiah was there because it's his job, and he'll be talking to us. I wanted to get him on the show this morning, but he was not available, so he will be on Disney Parks Talk this evening / afternoon, 4 p.m.
The
Pacific.
return of Mike Celestino, hopefully, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. He can tell us all about what it's like to cruise to Alaska So today at 4 p.m., we'll have Jeremiah giving firsthand accounts of Not So Scary. So we're not going to do too much about it this morning, but a couple of things did want to mention, including they have new wristbands. Check that out. So if you've been to Not So Scary before, you know they have those paper wristbands where the cast member usually has to help you put it on and tear off the extra and all that. But now they have these new non-paper wristbands that seem to just kind of slip on and cinch and yeah, kind of big
If
news.
they're like ones that I'm familiar with, it's still kind of a similar concept where you can't take it off. I think you'll probably still need to cut it off because I think unless you keep it really loose, but once you move, it only moves this way.
Yeah.
It only tightens. It doesn't get looser. So got to be careful.
Like a roller coaster with the
I
clickety
don't know if
clack
that's
and
the
then
case
it
with
won't
this
go
one
back.
specifically, but that's
It's
how it
gotta
is with
be.
the ones that I have.
I can't imagine it's not. The whole point is you put on the wristband and you don't give it to someone else.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm thinking it's that way. But before I speak out,
They also introduced a new popcorn bucket, and these popcorn buckets just get cooler and cooler. Do you like this one, Kyle?
it's cool. It's not a popcorn bucket. It's a thing that has a space to put a block that happens to be popcorn in this case. But yeah, I think this is very cool.
It says right there, the Nightmare Before Christmas inspired Mayor's Car popcorn bucket.
I know,
That's-
but I'm just saying it doesn't actually hold. It holds popcorn by way of there being a space to put a bucket of popcorn.
that no one will ever put in there. But this one is really, really cool. I don't know. One of the coolers. They're also still carrying the Donald Duck. Is this a bucket? Sipper, candy corn sipper, which is really cool. What is with this? Sorry, you can see it there. I like that too. But Not So Scary with some really cool stuff. Getting you in that Halloween mood when it's August 11th and 100 plus degrees out there. And did we even know this monorail thing was happening, or did this just shock everyone when it happened?
I don't know if it shocked anyone, but yeah, no, we know the monorails have the ground lighting, and they did some cool effects for the Halloween party.
The audio turned off. It was just crowds going.
It's purple.
It's pretty cool.
Make it pink. Make it blue.
It's these little details that make Disney so special. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, I forgot to say some hellos. So hello, Alicia. I'll go with Alicia. Hi, Gio. Thank you very much. I'm going to use your pocket pick today. Hello, Stephen from Wyoming. Thank you for joining us again. Rich Ostry, bright suns to you. Thank you for joining us from MEI Travel, our recommended travel partner. And yes, Mr. Bob Newell, popcorn tastes better in a bucket. So don't let Kyle seagull your popcorn bucket experience. As I said, Jeremiah will be with us later to talk all about everything that happened at Not So Scary, 4 p.m. Pacific time. There's some new entertainment, definitely some foods. I hope you got a chance to try all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll talk a lot about that at 4 p.m. Pacific, straight from the horse's mouth. Jeremiah Good. Please come back then and join us. If you don't want to forget, it's easy to forget. So what we recommend you do is, first of all, like this stream to indicate to YouTube that I care about these people. And then subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And then there's this bell right next to it. Ring that bell. And then once you ring that bell, it's going to have a pop-up that says, well, what are you ringing the bell for? So make sure you select all notifications. And if you do all 4 of those things, there is actually a tiny chance YouTube will let you know when we go live. So that maximizes your chances. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. And then hope for the best. Let's see. Did you have a good weekend, Kyle?
It was pretty good. I mean, we drove back from Ohio on Saturday, so that took up the majority of the day. And then yesterday, we just got to enjoy. We caught up on Futurama on Hulu. That's pretty much it.
We discovered a new show. Not a new show, but new to us. Have you watched Jury Duty on Amazon Prime?
I've heard about it. I haven't actually watched it, but I know the premise.
Yeah, it is spectacular. I'll tell the premise because it's, the premise is the premise. It's divulged right at the beginning. It is, they got special permission to do a documentary inside of a jury throughout a civil trial. But the thing is, it's not a real trial. And the judge is an actor, and the defendant's an actor, and everyone's an actor, and all the jurors are actors, except for one person, one person does not know this is all. So it truly is the Truman Show. How would they go through this whole thing and never say the words Truman Show is beyond me? Because because they end up being sequestered, and so it's all the stuff outside the courtroom as well. And it is 16 days, I think it ends up lasting. It's 8 half-hour episodes. It flies by. The final episode, they've revealed to him what's going on, and then they talk to him and show all the behind-the-scenes stuff. It is spectacular. It's hilarious. It's, believe it or not, very feel-good, heartwarming. I can't recommend it highly enough. Jury Duty on Amazon Prime. Team Ron. All right. And that was my weekend. We watched a lot of Jury Duty. Got through the whole thing. Tony Betty, it is not based on a Pauly Shore movie, believe it or not. So I hope Pauly's getting some royalties for the name. Let's see. Are you a fan of Calm?
Yeah.
You
I'll
actually
say
use
yes
it?
because like I think I have to check and see when my thing renews because I have like Amex offers for it. So I've had a subscription. We actually not too long ago would put on some of the different scapes as we went to bed. And so,
So
yeah.
I've not used Calm before. Maybe you can let people know what it is.
It's an app that has a bunch of different like programming, I guess you'd call it. So one of the big things like sleep stories, like there's a Harry Styles one where he'll give you a little story that's kind of like ASMR, and you can fall asleep to it. Or they'll just have more like white noise, traditional sort of things that you can like listen to. But then there's also like stories or podcasts or different like meditation guide stuff.
Now they have added. Dude, wait a minute. All right. Done this before. So the magic of Disney has come to Calm. Things like, let's see, Rapunzel sharing the story of the new observatory she wished for in Starry-Eyed Quest, or Moana recalling the wisdom of her ancestors and saves Fonu in a storm in the Ocean Guardians. Tiana shares the memory of her father and finds a special way to honor him on his birthday in Daddy's front porch. For you Calm fans, some new Disney editions. I think this is a fantastic idea. I don't use Calm personally. I am naturally calm, so I don't need an app. But
Just
I
we
think
calm.
for Disney fans, this is pretty cool. Yeah, and as Gio points out, they have some calm soundscapes with Hey Disney as well. Hard to believe Hey Disney actually is here.
And only
Next thing
took
you know,
3 years. Or...
next thing you know, the walls are going to be down at Epcot, and we'll have nothing to make fun of anymore. And then in Disneyland Resort news, Magic Key Holders have an exclusive dance party and magnet coming to Disney California Adventure. There's a good look at your magnet. And the dance party is going to be held at the Disney Junior Theater, August 14th. That's today through 31st. So I hope Mike is out there today to get his groove on. It'll be open from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. With one exception. There's one day it's going to be closed. Closed early, sorry. And you can meet and greet with the characters, get some photo ops, and as I said, get your groove on. Nothing like Magic Key Holders grooving. That sounds like a fantastic time. I wish I was down. Oh yeah.
They haven't really used that theater for that show in a while because they were doing playtesting for Guardians and they've been doing this. So.
I didn't even realize did the show never come back? Playhouse
I don't.
Disney Junior Live on Stage?
It's honestly not something I really paid much attention to for obvious reasons, and so yeah, I haven't. But it's only now that I'm like, oh hey, like they've been doing a lot of stuff with that theater. That's not the actual show.
Oh, it has run since in 2021.
I don't even know if the shows that are featured in that show are still. I know that they've like updated it over time, but I don't know what's on Disney Junior these days for it to even.
According to Wikipedia,
Disney Junior versus Disney Channel versus Disney Plus.
According to Wikipedia, it closed on January. No, I don't think that. Tony, do some research. You're out there. We want to know the status of Disney Junior Live on Stage without me trying to fake it from Wikipedia. Because yeah, this is not making sense on Wikipedia. Help me out, Tony. Yeah, I'm curious. That's Disney Junior Dance Party. So it does still exist. And then but maybe it's a daytime thing. So by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, they can turn it into a place for Magic Key Holders to get their groove on. It's hard to believe that's all I've got, but is that really all I've got for today, other than going through some AB Adventure by
I
Disney
was gonna
stuff?
say you got to go through your ABD thing. Well, we have some Silver Dollar City news we could talk about if you want.
I do. Go for it.
So it's been long rumored, but this morning they officially announced that a new version of Fire in the Hole will be opening next year. So if you're not familiar, this famous attraction called Fire in the Hole, it's very close to Blazing Fury. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yes.
At Dollywood. They already previously announced that this was going to be the last season for the original ride. You know, it's very old and very antiquated. So they're building a brand new one family coaster that's going to be in a different area. It's actually going to be in the Fireman's Landing, I think is what it's called, area of the park. You can see them building the show building for a while now, but they finally announced that's actually what's happening. So that's the big news out of Branson this morning.
And in related news, over the weekend, my Rebecca's family was at Dollywood, and Grandpa rode Blading Fury for the first time. So, yay! You know Grandma and Grandpa from Disney Trivia Live. Yeah,
it's a rite
cool.
of passage. It's a fun little. Gotta go see those classic animatronics.
It's a crazy, crazy, crazy ride. A lot of fun though. All right, well, let's talk a little bit of ABD. On Friday, I took you through I'm doing a trip report for my Adventure by Disney Wyoming, one post per day. And on Friday, I took you through day 2, which was our first full day. So I'm just going to go ahead and do day 3 right now. So here is a link to the article if you want to follow along, or not follow along, don't do that, but read it later.
We could do 3 and 4 today, and then 5 and 6 tomorrow, and then do the grand finale on Wednesday.
We'll see how long 3. It's probably a good idea. But here's day 3. Day 3, woke up in the Ward Hotel, our last time in the Ward Hotel in Jackson. Yummy breakfast. They even had Mickey pancakes. Check that out. Isn't that cute? And then we said goodbye to the Ward Hotel, got on a bus. There were snacks. There's always snacks on the bus. So much fun. And headed over to the Grand Tetons and a bike ride. My favorite part of this bike ride is how they expedited the process of going, because there's 25 of us. So the day before, our guides went to just kind of found everyone and said, "How tall are you?" And then when we got to the place, they had us line up in height order, and then they just went through and gave us the bikes that they had already, gotten to the right heights, and they gave it to us down the line. Very cool. And then they told us how to do little minor adjustments if we needed to, and told us the most important lesson: there are front brakes and back brakes. Use the front brake at your own risk, because if you use the front brake and no back brake, you tumble over the front of the bike. Very good lesson. So with a 10-mile bike ride, you could go as fast or as slow as you want. There were plenty of guides there with us. They always made sure someone trailed, someone headed. Some people were zooming, some people were relaxing. I was just doing everything I could to not sit down because my butt hurt like nobody's business riding a bike. I don't know how you skinny people do this. But it was a ton of fun riding the bikes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Got a lot of pictures. Thank you to our guides. There's Dusty. And then we went to see what is called the most photographed barn of all time. It's like a famous cover on the front of the National Geographic Molten Barn with the beautiful Tetons in the background. Do you know how the Grand Tetons got their name?
No, but I have another question.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you how they got their name, but I invite people to go find out. What's your question?
My question is Mormon Row, is Elton John from there?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He is, yeah. The famous Elton John. That's tonight. I'm so excited. You must watch it tonight so we can talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Talking about claim to fame. So there's Molten Barn, pretty cool, and the Tetons in the background. That's a famous Nat Geo cover of that. And then after that, we got back on the bus, and it was time to go to Yellowstone. But first, we had to take a break at a visitor center so that we could go potty. Lots of potty breaks. Although the bus itself had a potty on it that was really nice. Basically an airplane quality potty, which is infinitely better than the potties outside at Yellowstone. So I felt very thankful that we had a nice potty on the bus.
I got to learn about a long drop from your article. So thanks for that.
Oh, my goodness. One time, and then I realized the bus is far superior. Never again. So visitor center, quick stop, beautiful views, get a picture, go potty. And then when it's on to lunch was at the Jackson Lake Lodge. And it's funny that the Jackson Lake Lodge for the Montana-Wyoming trip, that's actually a place that they stay. So there are signs around there for Adventures by Disney that weren't for us, that were for the other ABD. But they were out at this time. we were here having lunch. Really cool place to have lunch. They actually opened it early just for us and give us our own area. Food, as it was the whole trip, was just incredibly excellent. I had spaghetti squash here because did I say spaghetti square? Exit, that should be spaghetti squash. It was really good. Um, as always, they took care of me as a vegetarian. There were also a couple gluten-frees there that they always took care of. And we had a birthday here. The Lou Mangello of WW Radio celebrated a birthday. His son was turning 18, so they got a cake for him. Huge cake, big pieces all around. Had a good time with that. Got some beautiful pictures here. Man, it's such a beautiful part of the country, or planet, wherever we were. Little time to do some shopping, Doobie the Bear there. And then we got back on the bus and headed over to Yellowstone. As soon as we got in Yellowstone, the bus pulled over so we could do a ton of pictures in front of this sign. And then we toured Yellowstone a little bit on our way up. Why does this thing keep jumping? On our way up to, we stopped first at the West Thumb Geyser, and this was like our first chance to really walk around the geysers. And we would have many more chances, but this was the first. Our guides, done this many times before. They're kind of experts on it a little bit, so we could hear from them. And me never seeing anything like this before in my life, it was just blew me away, these geysers. And cool thing I learned is the bluer the water, the more deadly it is, because that just means it's killed all the bacteria because it's really, really, really hot. So the more enticing it looks, the more likely it is to kill you. So stay out of the blue water. Stay out of all the water, but especially the blue water when visiting Yellowstone. And just so beautiful, especially being right on the water. I'm assuming this is Yellowstone Lake back there. Just incredible. So we took a walk around that boardwalk. This was the first and last long drop I used before I got back on the bus. Lots of pictures. And then we got back on the bus, and they're feverishly calling what time, Old Faithful is on a schedule, but the schedule is relative to the last eruption and how big the eruption was. So we found out that we could make it in time for the next eruption. So we got there and we said, get off the bus, go straight to Old Faithful. And that's what we did. Got over there, and within about 10 minutes, Old Faithful erupted, and there it is. Really cool. I got to see Old Faithful, like in person. I was so happy just to be there. I pointed at it. I'm a tourist.
Hashtag influencer.
And then, why does this thing jump? Drive me crazy. Then, once it erupted for quite a while. I think we're like, all right, we've seen enough. And then we went over back to the Old Faithful Inn.
The little rainbow you got on the side there.
Yeah, I planned that. Yeah, that's really, I think I told Google to do that. It wasn't really there. To Google Photos. Back to Old Faithful Inn, we all met in the lobby. They gave us a real quick lay of the land, handed us our metal keys. Interesting thing about Old Faithful Inn, they told us we're staying in the side buildings, and that's a good thing because the main building, they have shared restrooms in the main building, whereas the side building, each room has its own restroom. The Old Faithful Inn is very, very, very old. You can tell when you're in your room, it's not that it's terrible, but it feels old. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no air conditioning. They have a fan in the room for you. You can tell you're in a place that's been around a while, but it's right next to Old Faithful. I mean, like, you can look out. They have I'll get to it in a second, but it is a minute's walk to Old Faithful. It's just great. So we stayed at the Old Faithful Inn, which also, by the way, was the model for Wilderness Lodge, or the inspiration for Wilderness Lodge. So certainly from the external, but also the internal, you can see a lot of the influence of Wilderness Lodge. There's our bedroom. You can see it doesn't look like it was made in the 20s, but it's old. Bathroom looks a little older, I thought. There's the dining room. This is where we had dinner. The way meals work with the Old Faithful Inn, where they just gave us a voucher. You could go in for dinner and then go in for breakfast and just give them the voucher and get what you want, basically. So it was nice. So you could eat on your own with just your family, or if you wanted to meet up with some other tour people, you could eat as a group. This was, as I told Kyle, the last time that we would have individual dining. After this, all dining would be the expanded family dining, which we love very much. You can see definitely some of the Fort Wilderness Lodge way it's been influenced by this place. So after dinner, and this is the bar at the Old Faithful Inn. Upstairs is a bar and a seating area, and you literally can sit there and watch Old Faithful, which is pretty cool. And then everywhere you look, Old Faithful is like the big one, but everywhere you look, or the famous one, there are much bigger ones. They're just steam coming out of the ground everywhere, and it's a reminder that
it's like New York.
Yep, but for different reasons. A literal reminder that you are sitting atop. Yellowstone is a giant volcano. And as they told us, someday, hopefully well in the future, it will erupt. And when it does, it likely will extinguish all human life on Earth because it's huge and it will cover the sun, block the sun, and all that. So, in a way, it's not scary being there because if it erupts, this is where you want to be and die instantly instead of having to suffer. So, but yeah, Yellowstone is a huge volcano and constant reminders from all the steam, and every now and then this is the geyser erupting way off in the distance. Just it's crazy. It's crazy. Like New York. New York kind of takes away the sting from it, but it's crazy. So we decided, and check that out. Is that not Wilderness Lodge? So Wilderness Lodge.
So
Certainly. The influence. Oh, I'm sorry. This is our walk, yeah. So before we went to bed, we decided to take a walk around at dusk, which is not the best time to walk around Yosemite. The birds were brutal. The bugs were brutal. The bird.
It was so bad. It was a Hitchcock movie on the way back.
The birds left us alone. The birds left us alone, but the mosquitoes were brutal. It was worth it just to walk around and see all the cool thermal activity and everything. That was, what was that, day 3 of our Adventured by Disney. So it's got 4 days to go, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do that throughout the week. So we'll have Monday through Friday to finish off our Adventured by Disney. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. 100 days to the release of Wish. Frog Eater is very excited about Wish. He comes in here and talks about Wish. Is that it? Anything? Oh, the treehouse. So hopefully Mike Celestino is going to get over there soon. I've seen a lot of pictures on the web of the treehouse at Walt Disney. Nope, at Disneyland. What's it called again, Kyle?
The Adventureland Treehouse.
Inspired by
Swiss Family Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson. I think that's it.
Walt
Yeah,
Disney's
the Walt.
Swiss Family Robinson.
Apparently, the walls have come down, or most of the walls have come down. I've seen some really good pictures on social media and hoping we're able to get ours pretty soon. Mike Celestino's been away on the trip, but I know he's back now, so get to work, Mike. Tony Betty being helpful. Wish only wrapped production within the last 2 weeks, so I would assume we'll hear more soon. Thank you very much, Tony. All right, I don't see anything else on the Twitters at this point, so why don't we go ahead and do some regularly scheduled segments? Does that sound good, Kyle?
Sounds good.
All right. A while since we've had one of these, but today we've got 2. Our first one comes to us from Geo. You guys know Geo. And it comes from YouTube. The YouTube account is Geo. So Geo doing some self-promotion here. This is Wally.
Now, if Tony were there, would he be more or less giddy than that lady?
She is definitely the highlight of this video. So that was from last year's D23 Expo, where you could meet Wally and giggle, giggle, giggle. I love that. So happy. Our other one was sent to us from one Kai Kai, I believe was the name we got it from, and this is from the Disney Parks TikTok. I saw this on TikTok a couple mornings ago and did not, put it in my own pocket pics. There's something about, I'm not gonna say it. All right, but Disney Parks put it up. I like it.
That seems like a thing you guys would have done with Gideon.
Perhaps. I think, do we ever do anything like that? I don't think we ever trust him up. No, the closest, no, like, I remember one time Tom Staggs was doing an interview and we had Gideon say hi to Tom Staggs because he was a fan of him, but I can't think of anything. The stock market thing, the stockholders meeting thing, that was all Gideon. I will say that till the day I die. We had nothing to do with that. Gideon wanted to do it, and he did it. All right. Are you ready, Kyle, to test your Disney history knowledge?
Yes.
On this day, in 1945, a Disney legend was born. Do you know who that Disney legend was, or do you need a little more information?
I would need a little bit more information.
He is not most known as a Disney performer, but he did get his start in the employment world working on Disneyland's Main Street.
Steve Martin.
You are absolutely correct. Steve Martin started in the magic shop. Big fan of Wally Bogue, that's who he's there with at the Golden Horseshoe Review. And now concluding his career by doing Only Murders in the Building on Disney's
Why do you
Hulu.
say he's concluding his career? Jeez. Way to write the guy off.
He's pretty old. He probably wants to retire by now, don't you think? Do this Only Murders thing and move on. What's your favorite Steve Martin thing?
Favorite Steve Martin thing? First 50 magical years.
What was that?
First 50 magical years.
Oh, Disney. You actually went Disney. I'm going to say The Jerk. Not a Disney movie.
Not Dirty Rotten Scoundrel.
He and I have a similar background in how we were born. All right, on this day in 1995, a very memorable Disney executive appointment was made.
1995.
95. The career did not last very long. His Disney career.
So Michael Ovitz.
Michael Ovitz was named president of Disney, Walt Disney Company, the heir apparent to Michael Eisner. A year later, he left with a $90 million golden parachute. The marriage did not work. So what we see here is, so this was Michael Eisner's first choice to succeed him, and then he ended up with Iger, which worked out great. Iger's first choice was Chapek, so maybe history will repeat itself.
Well, it depends on how you define first choice. First one that actually went through. This one didn't go through.
Trying to help.
I know. I'm just being technically Tony.
Yes,
And
you are.
saying, like, there are other heir apparents. In fact, a couple that we've discussed recently.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be interesting to see if one of those does turn out to be Kevin Mayer or Tom Stagg. Can you imagine being brought back in to run the company after being an heir apparent, moving on because it wasn't going to
And then
happen?
doing
and
it,
then
sharing
coming
the
back?
position, two of them.
Oh, that would be cool. That always works out well. All right. On this day in 1998, direct-to-video sequel, live action.
Wow,
Family.
live action direct to
Yes, exactly.
1998.
1998. We
Okay.
actually talked about the original not too long ago.
Okay. My first thought was one that I don't think was direct to videos. Oh, so wait, is this Air Bud 2?
I don't know if it's Air Bud 2, but it is Air Bud Golden Receiver.
Okay.
Just dog it. That's right.
My first thought was Homeward Bound 2 for some reason, which I think was probably a little earlier and also was theatrical. But that's where my mind went. So I was right with the dogs. That's where I got
the right category. What is your favorite of the Air Bud series?
the original, of course, right?
All right. On this day in 2009, animated film distributed by Disney in the U.S. was released. It had previously been released in a different country,
Which
but this
year?
was its U.S. release, 2009, the year my son was born.
Okay. Was that Ponyo?
It was. Welcome to a world where anything is possible. Oh, Tony Betty with the correction. If you read his book, he emphasizes that it was the Fantasyland Magic Shop. So it's funny that he's always featured around the Main Street one. Probably helps if there is no Fantasyland Magic Shop anymore. But yeah, that is a great point. I stand corrected. Thank you very much, Tony. And then in the 50th birthday, he said right here on Main Street. Oh, that's some inconsistency in Steve Martin's story. He's some conspiracy theories going. Finally, on this day in 2020, I think this was theatrical. I think it may have been Disney Plus, but I think it was theatrical. I could be wrong. So it could be one of those two. Andy Duckerman, a straight-laced banker, returns to blank, where he attended years ago as a boy, to work as a compassionate and fun-loving counselor, while also keeping his eye on winning first place in the upcoming competition.
Well, speaking of magic, that is Magic Camp.
Good.
That was
Okay.
supposed to be theatrical, ended up on Disney Plus unceremoniously. I actually quite enjoyed it, and you can't watch it anymore. It's gone.
Is it really?
I'm pretty sure it's gone after all of that hubbub. Where we're like, what happened to Magic Camp? It was on the schedule. It's not on the schedule. They haven't announced it for Disney Plus, and then it just popped out of nowhere, and then now it's gone.
So August 2020 makes sense that that became a Disney Plus release. Magic Camp is no longer on Disney Plus. You are correct, which is sad because you made it sound good, and now I feel like I will never, ever, 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 ever see it.
It's got Britta. I think Gillian Jacobs is on Community, and her name is Britta. So, Britta's in this.
Unity's a principal show for me, but I thought it was interesting in our internal Slack that our CEO saw
Slumber Party.
and said about it,
It was the best movie Disney's released this year.
wow. I haven't seen all of Disney's movies, but I can't disagree based on the ones I have seen. Slumber Party was quite good, and it has not been a stellar year for the Walt Disney Company. You really need to see enough Community to fill that CCR gap. Okay, that's the reason I might see it. It's so meta too. I like meta
Clearwater
stuff.
Revival.
Common cultural references. Apparently CCR isn't the CCR for us, but now it is. She agrees to Slumber Party rock. Oh, my son reminds me Gideon was mad that I did that Yellowstone recap on Friday and he slept through it. So he wanted me to make sure he was awake for it today. So he did watch it, and he pointed out something very important, which not only I forgot here, I forgot in the article. On the way to Yellowstone, because it was a pretty long trip, they showed us a movie, and Home on the Range, very appropriate.
That's what I thought. I tried to guess based on the photo Rebecca put in random, based on like the way the logo looked, and I was left hanging. So I'm glad to have that confirmation.
You are confirmed. We did see Home on the Range. I don't think anyone paid too much
It wasn't
attention
even April
to
2,
it.
and yet you got to bust a move.
Bust-a-boo. I love that bus. Just being on the bus with the snacks and the air conditioning and the friends. I love the bus. Sorry, I left you hanging, Kyle. But now you know. I think that's about it for today's show. Go a quick check of the Twitters. Anything new happening there?
Well, there's this that I thought I was confused for a second, having not seen the movie of which this comes from. I thought it was referencing a Disney attraction.
Okay, I'll pick it up. Oh, Tony Betty, what's a fun fact? The last animated film from Walt Disney Animation Studios film to use the CAPS system. What was the first, Tony? That'd be an interesting bookend. All right, Kyle, what we got here?
This is from Disney on Ice, but yeah, I thought Country Bears instead of Encanto.
Wow, yes, I can see where you got that. But is this Encanto, Disney on Ice?
Isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
looks like
it's a scene from Encanto.
Yeah,
But this is part of. They do a bunch of different shows. It's not usually just one movie. It's usually like a hodgepodge of some loose.
it is. Sometimes they'll do a movie, but yeah, it's definitely better when they do a hodgepodge. Like the first Disney on Ice I saw was Snow White was the movie, and to fill it out, they had to do a bunch of songs that aren't actually in Snow White. Like You Can Never Outfox the Fox. Checking Twitter again, checking our website. Hocus Pocus at Hot Topic. I saw Costco has released their Christmas stuff. Spirit Halloweens are open all over the country with tons of Disney stuff. Barely Necessities will be around tomorrow if you want to learn more about merchandise. We did put up an article yesterday that just cracked me up.
The Jason Kelsey documentary, Kelsey Examining Eagles Team Captain, will unveil on Prime Video. It was
Sounds
got
like
a
it.
new release date. Pretty impressive of him to just call the documentary Kelsey.
I miss the Disney. I miss the NBA experience. Looking back at the short-lived Disney Springs attractions 4 years after it opened by Mike Mack, just the fact that anyone would admit to missing the NBA experience cracks me up. He is a huge basketball fan. Mike Mack, if you're out there, I heard you were going to be dunking a basketball, and you've sent some progress reports of you making it happen, but it has not happened. So I'm just calling you out.
Speaking of dead technologies, you could all.
So Tony Betty says the first use of caps was a sequence in The Little Mermaid, beginning the Disney Renaissance. And then the full feature was The Rescuers Down Under, which somehow is not a part of the Disney Renaissance, even though it came after Mermaid. And then the last would have been Home on the Range. So
It's a
thank you very
Ren,
much,
wait for
Tony.
it, Essence.
Saying or something.
What?
What is that from?
Well, it's like Legend, wait for it, except that if Rescuers isn't part of it, then Little Mermaid is the Re, and then
Gotcha. This is a great idea, Gio. A Disney 100 exhibit in the old.
Little late.
It can't be called the NBA area. It was Disney Quest for decades. It is the Disney Quest building, not the NBA Experience building. Oh, yeah. This is how he dunked. This is. See, not gonna count. I picture him cropping this and saying, "Look, I did it." Even though that's still impressive, just to get up and be able to bend both your knees like that. That's impressive. He's the athlete. You would agree, right? He's the best athlete at LP.
I can't think of another one.
He is the only athlete at LP, is what we're saying.
I mean, Gideon's got that archery down. He's gonna. That's a athlete.
I saw the Princess Diana experience when that was there. Not money well spent, as I recall. It was a decent experience, but way over. We're done. Thanks for joining us. Well, Gideon sent a message. Gideon says it would be the NBA building since the Disney Quest was demolished. Tony, stop influencing my son. 4 p.m. today.
Now, just a minute.
4 p.m. Pacific, Disney Parks Talk. We'll have Jeremiah talking about Not So Scary. We'll have Mike Celestino back from his trip to Alaska. It wasn't a Disney cruise. We're going to ask him about it anyway. And I think that's about it. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Go through the next day of ABD and hopefully so much more Disney news. Bye-bye.